I want to go to Hunter Biden because I know you've been talking about this too. I saw you on the 5 yesterday talking about the two-tier system of justice. It's unfortunate to even use that kind of language about our own country, but I think people have now gotten enough experience through the last few years of seeing how, someone like Paul Manafort, who's, again, not a huge name, but a political consultant can end up in solitary confinement over a FARA violation, which is how you register if you are doing work for a foreign government. It literally ends up in solitary confinement, ultimately gets pardoned by President Trump, so is released, but never fully vindicated. And yet if you're Hunter Biden, there's actual crimes committed. It really is a slap on the wrist. I'm not even sure when this is ultimately done, it's even going to be a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, you mentioned the FARA violations. When you look at what Hunter Biden has been charged with and the things that he's looking at, the things that he's agreeing to plead guilty on, the things that he's hoping will get swept under the rug, none of them have anything to do with his relationships with other countries and how he's exploited his position and his father's position to advance his own economic interests. And I know part of the investigation was supposed to be about potential FARA violations, but apparently that didn't occur. And the fact that his attorney was on TV saying, well, I don't even know if they looked at the contents of the laptop. The laptop never really even came up. So this whole thing has, yes, you're right. It is evidence of this two-tiered justice system. One way of special treatment for those who are part of the power elite and those in power, and then another way for those who are political opponents of that power elite, or just, for the rest of us in this country. I totally understand why people are frustrated, rightly so, with the unfairness of this. But the bigger consequence here is that the more we see this exploitation of our justice system for personal or political ambitions by those in power, the less we, the people, can have faith in the rule of law. The consequences of that cannot be underestimated, because our ability to have law and order and prevent total chaos and anarchy is centered on the rule of law. We cannot become like a dictatorship where those in power direct their, law enforcement, national security agencies, and judicial system against political enemies here in the United States of America. Once we do that, we lose who we are as a country. We lose the freedoms that really define us, that their country was founded on.
I think there's this, we have a couple minutes left, but this idea too, which I think is the goal of one side here, which is to make it out to be, is basically to scare people out of talking about these issues. So if they show you enough examples of, well, this is what happens to you, but it's not going to happen to us, maybe you'll just shut up and go away, and you'll be afraid of getting involved in politics. You'll be afraid of speaking out. And I think that's the biggest harm that comes from this. And we see it time and time again at the ACLJ, where there's issues we'll get involved in where we're taking on the government more head on, and people are less likely to sign their name to a petition because they're a little bit afraid of putting their name onto that government institution or putting their name out there. But I think that's the whole goal of this, is to scare you into silence.
And you're right. This is not just happening to people with the last name Biden or the people with the last name Trump. When we look at examples of that two-tier justice system, it's also happening in many cases to people who are peaceful pro-life protesters. And I know you guys are representing some of these cases, or have in the past, where the FBI is choosing to go after and enforce so-called crimes that frankly haven't been committed by a peaceful pro-life protester outside of an abortion clinic, choosing to go after and kick down the door in these people's homes in the middle of the night, but not choosing to go and prosecute those who were perpetrating incredible violence and harm and attacks on law enforcement in the midst of these Black Lives Matter protests and riots. The two tiers of this justice system are happening at the very highest levels, but they're also happening on our streets, and they're happening in our communities. And it's clear that they are being motivated by political objectives, political interests. And this is just what is causing such disillusionment and lack of trust, frankly, in the system and those who are making decisions.
Appreciate you joining us and weighing in on all those issues.